What is your 90%? You guys have heard me talk about this in the past a ton of times where I'll sit there and I'll say 90%, build your car for a 90%. What is your 90%? You need to figure that out if you're gonna build a car. Now, what I'm gonna talk about with Cam a little bit today is what we think 90% is and what you should look at for 90%. So one of the things I ran across the other day is I had a guy ask me, he has a car that he's building, and he wanted to know if he should go with big brakes.
I mean, big brakes are never bad.
But this guy was talking about building the car as a cruise night car.
Big brakes are overkill.
So then I asked him the question, I said, what is your 90% of the car? What are you planning on doing with it? And he was floored. He didn't know what I meant. So I had to explain it to him. So I thought it's actually a pretty good thing to talk about here on the show is what your 90% is on your car.
Yeah, that goes into having an idea of what you want the car to be when it ends up finished.
Yeah,
It's never going to be finished, but when it ends up finished.
Gets to that 90%.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the point of this. It's not going to be a real long video, but I really kind of wanted to go into this because it was something that was confusing to a viewer. So I thought, if a guy's having a problem with what a 90% car is, then we should go into it. To me, what a 90% car is what are you going to do with this car 90% of the time? If you're going to go take your car out and you're going to cruise it at the cruise in, do you really need a 347 small block with a supercharger, a 5-speed, and a complete RRS suspension?
No. Yeah.
No.
Maybe.
Because my problem is, that's exactly what I've done. I have a car that 90% of the time, we're going to be putting it on a trailer and taking it to a show, or we're going to be taking the car and driving over to the cruise in Aiken or here in North Augusta.
Sedentary drive around neighborhoods and people, places with lots of cars.
Because I'm not, like we've got one that lives 2
right
doors down. And then
Burnouts
another one
are
around the
questionable
corner.
out of your driveway.
And then another one down here. There's a lot of cops right here in this little area where I live, which makes me feel a lot safer in some respects, but in other respects it kind of really precludes me doing.
Closer to Mexico.
Yes, we like being near Mexico. Mexico was nice. We had Mexico near my other house, but this house has no Mexico close by. And it is very sad.
Tragic.
Very sad, yes, very sad. So on a 90% on a cruise-in car, I would say what I would want to do is, do I really need big sway bars? Do I really need to lower the upper control arms to get it to handle better? Do I really need 13-inch rotors with Brembo calipers? And the answer to that is probably no.
No. I would, on a car like that, I would do everything I can to make it drive and handle as good as I can in stock form.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, some of it's pretty much boiling down to personal preference as well. Some guys are going to want that car that is a snarling, knuckle-dragging beast.
They want it to be a handful to drive for their 10-minute drive to the cruise.
But I don't know how much enjoyment I get out of something like that. I mean, I have owned cars like that. My 90 LX Mustang, I made that car to where it was an absolute magic car on a road course.
Yeah.
And it sucked.
But if you have to drive over railroad tracks, you have to explain to your passenger, hold on for a second.
Yeah, you might want to lift your butt up just a little bit so we can clear the tracks.
Give yourself some suspension because this car has none.
But man, you put it on a road course, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where I would drive it and I would go on long trips in it. Like I'd go up I lived in Lakeland, Florida. I would go up to Ocala, and by the time I got to National Parts Depot,
you're done.
I was wrecked.
Yeah.
I don't mean wrecked, but I mean I'm like...
You got out of the car and it was like you spent the day at the range and your ears were kind of ringing and everything seemed a little bit louder than it should be.
And you're a little disoriented. Yep. And I mean, it really did that to me. And I got to where I'm like, I'm just going to take the F-150.
Yeah, that was me dailying the 66 for a while. I'd get home after 4 hours, a shift at Kenworth.
Yeah.
And I'd be absolutely killed from the car ride home more so than I was from the shift at work.
So, I mean, that's what I think. When a guy looks at building a car, that's when I say 90%. What do you do with it 90% of the time? You want to build more toward what's going to be comfortable when you're driving it to the cruise in. Or when you want to build a car, so you know what, my goal is to be able to go to car shows in other states. Well, you don't want to do a 530 rear gear and a 4-speed.
Yeah.
Because you'll be going 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Or you can go 100 miles an hour, a quarter of a mile at a time. Your choice.
You'd probably rather just invest in a trailer.
Or just buy a trailer.
Yeah.
That's the point too. I mean, you know, a lot of guys will, I think one of the things we get lost in whenever we're doing these cars is when you're building it, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to be using this thing 90% of the time. I'm going to be doing cruise ins right around here.
Yeah.
Why are you putting an AOD in it?
Yeah, you really don't need.
You're looking at spending, at a minimum, let's just say $1,500. I know some of you guys are out there going to tell me, oh, well, I found an AOD and
$400 transmission.
yeah,
from pull
$400.
apart.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You're one of about 10 people I know who actually managed to pull that off.
Still going to need drive shaft built. Still going to need cross member.
You're going to have $1,500 in it.
Fluid, converter maybe. Yeah.
So if you've got a car that's got a C4 or even a C6 in it, why not leave the C6 in it? And you say, well, I want to go out of town to car shows. Well, I charge that if you put that on the back of an F-150 or an F-250 and you drive to a car show with it on a trailer,
Yeah.
your mileage is probably going to be about the same.
Probably save fuel, save mental stress, and you could probably find a cheaper car trailer.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, you can get a car trailer is probably $1,500, $2,000.
Yeah.
So you invest in the car trailer, you keep that at your joint, you put the car on the car trailer, you put it
And
behind your truck.
Once you get a trailer, you get a whole lot more friends.
Let's not talk about that 90%. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing in my book. You know, the 90% is how much are you going to do with this car 90% of the time?
Yeah.
What are you going to be doing with it? If you're going to be cruising.
If you're not driving over 200 miles in one direction, you really don't need an AOD.
No, I don't think so. I think in the local
lower rear gear with a C4, C6 works just
especially if you're running a Ford. If you got a Ford, you can, if you want to go drag racing locally, you just pop that gear out on a Saturday morning or whatever, and you drive over there with the 430s in it.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to be going on the interstate to get to the drag strip, especially in Atlanta now, since the Atlanta dragway is.
Oh, it's 3 fingers.
I can't do that. My hands messed up here. These 3 fingers in the air.
There it was. Live long, prosper.
Harambe.
Never forget.
For us car guys, this Atlanta dragway. Never forget. Developers!
Good thing they got apartments.
Woo! All right, so, you know, and like another thing on that is the 90% is not always the 90%.
Yeah.
We were talking about this off of camera just a little bit ago. The Falcon is a perfect example of a not 90% car that's 90%.
It's being built probably 60% for the 10% that you're going to
Yeah, I mean, realistically, that car is a 60%, 90%, or 10% car.
Yeah.
10% of the time it's going to do the things it's capable of, but the way the suspension and the transmission, the 347 and the blower are going to be...
That will be set up for a nasty road course car.
Nasty road course car, a decent driving and handling street car, really nice street car for that, because it'll have the 5-speed in it, it'll have the 347, it'll have all the little things that it's going to need to make it really stomp.
It'll be very overbuilt to pass somebody on a 2-lane road.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's overkill. I really do.
Yeah. No, but that's half the fun of building cars too.
Yeah, I mean that's what I say. You know, people don't look at my 90% rule as being a steady, hard rule. Nothing in this life, and especially around here with what we do, is that.
Yeah.
You know, the wagon is one that's a 90% car that was actually originally set up as a 90% car.
Yeah.
90% of the time, we were looking at taking that wagon before the pandemic hit. Yeah. That car was going to be us going out to car shows and other places to work. And we thought it would be a lot cooler to show up in a classic wagon.
And
with
I'd
all
say
of our gear in it.
that is one of our cars in the fleet that's built to the 90-10.
It is, yeah, we do actually have one that is built to the 90-10.
That is one that is set up for a nice cruise, not like, it can handle itself on a track. For as big as it is.
For as big as it is, it probably could do okay. I mean, obviously, you know,
it's not competitive or anything like that.
Yeah, I'll do a streeter track on there, but what's the point? I mean, you're dealing with all that back weight. You're going to definitely have problems with oversteer, and it might even understeer at this point. I don't know, but you know, it probably does a little of both going into the corner.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's a wagon.
Yeah,
and we looked at that and said, we're not going to put a big block 428 or a 460 in this car because it doesn't make sense. The Cleveland that's in there gets bad enough gas mileage.
Yeah.
But it also very handily gets out of its own way.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's got that double-edged sword. You know, you're not going to get 20 miles to the gallon out of it with the AOD in there, but you're also going to get the performance that you might want.
Yeah, it's a nice stout cruise car.
That's a comfortable car too.
Yeah.
I mean, Deanna and I took that on that camping trip, drove up there, and I didn't feel that when I got out of it.
Yeah.
I felt that way driving it because people looking at it.
Yeah.
That's the only disadvantage to those kind of things is people looking at the car and kind of walling into you a little bit. But
Look at that.
look at that, and you're like, whoa! And I mean, so you have that nervousness going into a restaurant, leaving that car sitting out in the parking lot. Went into Lowe's, left the car sitting out in the parking lot, and that made me nervous.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. But that's the driving part of it. That car is exactly what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Other than not being painted yet. So.
That'll
You know,
happen.
Galaxy's going to be one that's going to be a 90% car. I'm not going to do that car to the level of a high-end car. It's not a Q code. It's not an R code. It's a 289 car that was a manual shift on the tree originally. So what's the point in making it into some crazy beast that I'm not going to get my money back out of if I sell it?
The most that thing should get
And
is a...
we are going to sell it at some point, so just keep that in your mind.
Yeah, the most thing that it deserves is like a big block, mid block. Well, not a big block, but like 351-ish.
390.
Yeah, 390.
The 390 that's in there, just poke some, you check it, make sure it's in good shape. You know, that the engine's going to run decent. 4-speed's fine.
We don't need to throw a suspension system on that.
Yeah,
Nothing.
probably will though, because you know how we are.
Of course, while we're
We're
here.
going to go to the 10% on the car and then sell it out at a 90%.
10% overboard.
10% overboard. That's us. Actually, we're probably more like 40, maybe 50% overboard because, you know, that CVS system
Yeah.
in the Black 67.
That's going to be nice.
But I like it, and I think it's going to be nice in that car. So that's one of those things where, again, it's a 10% item that is kind of 100% for me in whatever I'm doing. That system is nice enough that I don't have a problem with it being in that car with some of the things we're looking at probably doing to it down the road. So I'm going to hand it to him for a little while, and he's going to bring it back to us after we get the automatic overdrive put in it.
I would be sad to see it leave, but
It's a cool car, and it's been nice to have a 67.8 in here to do some stuff on because we got some smaller projects that we're going to be showing to you guys on this show in the near future. We'll be back on the stuff that we're going to be working on for next week. We're going to try to get the Galaxy to start, so that's going to be next week's video. But for right now, this is what you get. Sorry, that's just how it works because I wasn't going to drag the Galaxy in here. There's too much stuff on the lift and too much stuff underneath the lift for us to bring it in here and try to start it in here. No, I don't want to.
and around the lift.
And around the lift. It's just too much. There's too much going on, so we're not going to do that. I guess that's really it. I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to go today. Is it's just a real fast video on what our 90% is on these cars. Do me a favor though, check out the Patreon account, $10 a month level. You get monthly meetings with me, and you're helping Andrew. Andrew, give me your vodka bottle.
Bring potato water.
Potato water. This is Andrew's potato water in bottle. It's huge. Bulk. Andrew has bulk bottle for water. We think it's actually got the vodka in it. There you go. Good night. You can do weightlifting with that. It's a lot of water, Andrew. So anyway, help support Andrew's water habit. And actually, the money really does go to the guys who work here on Saturdays and to Andrew whenever he's doing the editing and stuff for us. So that's where the money's really going. And if we've ever done anything for you to help you out, you can do the Patreon thing. It's a way of saying thank you. Plus, you have meetings with me where you can ask tech questions and things like that. So it's pretty cool. The next thing I'm going to talk about, you guys know what it is. It's coming to you right now, and that is Super Thanks.
We need like a little cape on it.
Fluttering in the wind. There's a little place down either here or maybe over here in the corner that says thanks. What that is a way for you to say thanks, and if you go above $10 on your thank you to us over on that, you will be mentioned at the end of the show. We'll put your name up in lights. Maybe not lights, but we'll put your name up in some way that Andrew will come up with eventually when he's not drinking 40 gallons of water. Which, God, he's going to be in the bathroom about 80% of the time today with that much water. seriously a lot of work. But super thanks is a way for you to thank us for what we do around here. Also, we're not going to make it. I'm just going to say that. I said that in the Man at Mechanic video that went up a couple days ago. We're not going to make it. There's no way we can get to 100,000. Cletus McFarland, you have not come through for us, nor has Roadkill come through for us. Peter McKinnon, those three people, they have no idea who we are.
I was going to say, so shocking.
Because you know we're so up on everybody's radar.
Like right
people
here
are
in their
worried
ears.
about us becoming more famous than them.
Yeah. Can't have that.
Subscribe to the channel, for crying out loud. Find people, I don't get homeless people, just give them a computer.
Hey, you got a phone?
Got a phone, because they give them phones now in California. So
yeah.
if you're homeless watching us, get people around you to subscribe on their phones. It'll be great.
Just take their phones.
No, we don't do that. We're not those kind of people.
We're doing California.
No, they give them phones. So anyway, subscribe to the channel. You guys do me a favor, be kind to each other, love on each other, treat each other nice, and don't steal their phones. We'll see you next week on Autorestomod. So I have never, except for that thing with Segura and Bert, never seen a vat of water that big. And actually, Bert's water, it wasn't water, it was Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
That's not, that may be vodka then. We didn't smell it, so we don't really know. He's back there chugging away.
Yeah, I think he'd be drunk by how much he's drank already if it was vodka.
Maybe he is.
I can imagine he's pretty lightweight.
He's an Italian. He's not a lightweight.
You got to get that marinara to get him going.
I keep sending him Italian videos.
They're all cringeworthy.
The little girl with a really. You guys have a great week.